Yo, it's your boy Wes the Tech here to bring you another one of my personal favorite tech tips to help you as an artist growing your craft. Now, today we're going to go over how to register a song with Soundexchange, all right? So if you're a recording artist who wants to know exactly how to register your song on Soundexchange, then this is the perfect video for you, because in this video, I'm going to show you step by step on how to register your song on Soundexchange so that you guys don't make any mistakes and you got it registered correctly, all right? Now, before I continue, I definitely want to let you guys know about my free music business checklist tool that's available to download off of my website right now. This is for any one of you guys who's looking into starting your own music business but don't quite know where to start. With this free tool, you actually be able to identify 3 things that you could do right away to start your own music business. So if you want to grab this free tool today, you can click on the link above. I'll also leave the link in the descriptions below, all right? Now, when it comes to registering your song on Soundexchange, I'm letting you guys know right now that it is extremely important. If you guys don't know what Soundexchange is one of the few organizations that is put in place to actually collect royalties on your behalf, all right? Now, Soundexchange isn't the only place that you got to register your music on, but it is one of the most important ones, because if you don't register your songs on Soundexchange, then you will not be able to collect royalties from non-interactive radio. Now, for those of you who don't know what non-interactive radio is, it's exactly what it sounds like. Non-interactive radio, aka radios that you can't interact with, radios that you can't actually pick the songs from, you just got to listen to it. Those are radio stations like Pandora, like iHeartRadio, like SiriusXM. These radio stations are just radio stations that you listen to. You can't interact with them. You can't pick your songs. It's not like streaming platforms. You listen to whatever they play, and that's it. Soundexchange is put into place to collect royalties from these particular platforms to actually pay out to you as an artist. So if you are actually getting streams on these particular platforms, you won't be able to collect any revenue from it without Soundexchange. So first and foremost, make sure you're registered with Soundexchange and you have an account with Soundexchange, right? You absolutely need it as an artist because it's going to be one of your revenue sources, all right? Now, with that being said, once you are registered with Soundexchange and you do have an account with Soundexchange, the very next thing that you will have to do is actually register your music. And that's what I'm going to go over with you guys in this video right here. We're going to go step by step into that registration process because it is a tedious process. It's not difficult, but it's a lot, and I just want to make sure that you guys are doing it the right way so that you don't have any issues when you're actually done with your registration on Soundexchange, all right? So with all that being said, once your account is created, you want to just go ahead and log into your account. Once you're logged into your account, you're going to go to the top tabs, and the one that you're going to click on is My Catalog. From the My Catalog menu, you should see Submit Recordings. You're going to want to go ahead and click on Submit Recordings, and then you're going to see a button right here that says Add Recordings. Once you click on that Add Recordings, the form itself is going to appear, right? And then you're going to see where it says Recording Entry 1. Now, before we continue here, I'm going to let you guys know that you have to have your music distributed first. Your music needs to be out distributed with a distribution company, or you need to at least have an ISRC code for that song. And most music distribution companies won't give you an ISRC code until you actually register the song with them. You also have to make sure that your song is registered with a performing rights organization. All right, so that's BMI or ASCAP, right? CSAC is another one, but 90% of the time it's going to be BMI or ASCAP, which means that Soundexchange comes after you register with BMI or ASCAP, registering the song with them, and it comes after you distribute your music on a music distribution company. So the actual order is you set up your distribution for whatever the release date is. They're going to give you your ISRC code. Then you register your music with BMI or ASCAP so you can get your ISWC code. And then you will register your music with Soundexchange. And the reason you want to do it in that order is because you're going to need those codes for this form. All right. So with that being said, let's dive into the information that you actually have to put in when it comes to your registration. So the first thing that you want to go ahead and type in is your artist name. Once you put in your artist name, make sure it's spelled out exactly how you have it spelled out on BMI and your distribution company. Then you want to put in the song title. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to be registering my song Conquerors. So I just go ahead and put that in the song title. And then the next thing that you're going to want to enter in is the ISRC code. And again, this code is given to you by your music distribution company. All right. Once you put in that ISRC code, it's then going to ask you for the version of the song. If this is the original version of the song, you leave it blank. But if it is a live version, you want to put live in here. If it's a remix, you want to put remix in here. If it's a radio edit version, you want to put radio edit in here, all right? But this space is dedicated to the version of the song. For the original, if it's the original, leave it blank, which is exactly what I'm going to do here. The next thing that you want to go ahead and put in is the duration of the song. Now, the way these digits line up, the first two digits are the hours, the second two digits are the minutes, and the third two digits are the seconds. So for my song, it's 2 minutes and 55 seconds, which means that it will translate into 00:02:55. All right. These are not milliseconds in here or anything like that. This is hours, minutes, and seconds. So make sure you enter in the length of the song correctly. All right. Then you want to go ahead and put the primary genre of the song. Obviously, I do Christian hip hop, Christian rap. That's the primary genre of my song. But you want to make sure that you put in the main genre of the song where the genre is. From that point, you want to go ahead and put in the recording date. Now, the recording date is the date that you started to record on the song. All right. For me, I typically put the date that I created the Pro Tools file, because typically when I'm ready to record, that's when I actually create my Pro Tools file, and then I start recording that same day, which means that the created date of the Pro Tools file would essentially be my recording date. All right. They're referring to recording of your vocals, not the beats or anything else, just the vocals. So you want to put the day that it was created, not the day that it was done, the day that it was created. All right. So make sure you have the right date for that. Then the next thing you want to do is put in the date of the release. This is when the date of the release, right? When the song is actually released. Once you put that in, you're then going to put in the country of mastering. What country was the song finalized in, aka mastered, right? Not where it started, where it ended. So let's just say you started recording in Jamaica, but then you moved to the US and you mastered it in the US, right? The US is the mastering country, not Jamaica, even though it was, initiated and started in Jamaica. I hope that makes sense. That's the country of the mastering. The following thing is you're going to put the publisher's information, right? If you don't have a publishing company yet, that's something that you definitely have to look into. We're not going to get into that for the sake of this video, but I have a publishing company. I went ahead and entered mine in. As far as P-line, that's associated with the publisher, right? You don't necessarily need to add that in. Also, if you don't have a publishing company, you don't have to add that in as well. But the more information you could add in, the better. So if you don't have a publishing company, but you want one, just go ahead and get it done so you can put in this information. But you don't absolutely need the publishing company in order to register a song. All right. Now, the next thing will then be the ISWC code, right? The ISWC code, again, is given to you by your PRO. That's either BMI or ASCAP if you're in the US. If you're in another country, you're going to have a different PRO, Performing Rights Organization. But all in all, they're going to give you an ISWC code. That's what's being entered in here. All right. Like I said before, guys, you got to make sure you got to register the other places before you do this. So that's where you put in the ISWC code. Next is the composer, the person who made the beat, right? The whoever your beat maker is, you put in their information there. I went ahead and put that information in as well. Then you're going to put in the countries of the first release, the countries that you released the music with. All right. In my case, it was worldwide. It was a worldwide release. So you guys will probably be doing the same when it comes to distributing your music on streaming platforms, unless you want it to come out in a specific country only. All right. Then you're going to put the copyright owner country of nationality. All right. Why do they ask this? I have no idea, But I'm not here to ask questions. I'm here to help you guys register this thing. And for my case, my nationality is the US. I'm from the US. So that's what I go ahead and put it in here. You want to put the nationality of yourself as the owner of the copyright. And I hope you guys are registering your own music, your own copyrighted music. All right. But that's, again, something that should be discussed in another video. All right. But whichever the case, once this section is done, you will get a green valid marker right up top of that section. Every section, once you're done with this section, you should get this green valid icon. If you don't get this, then that means something was either missing or incorrect that you absolutely need. As far as the stuff that you don't need, you can still have it valid without that. So if you don't have a publisher, you can still have a valid section without that. All right, this is just for the key things that you absolutely need to be able to fill out the form. But like I said before, the more you can fill out the form, the better, to make sure that there's no confusion with anything. All right, but continuing on, the next section that you're then going to fill out is the recordings claim information section. All right, and the first thing that they're going to ask you to do is put the basis of the claim. All right, for this, you want to put the copyright owner if you're the copyright owner. The next thing you're going to claim as far as the copyright, right? This isn't who owns the part of the song. This is just for the copyright itself. Who owns the copyright? In my case, I own 100% of the copyrights, so I just left it at 100%. Then the next thing is the rights begin. This is very important. They're going to give you an option to put a date, or they're going to give you an option to put inception. Just make sure you check inception, because inception is just simply saying whatever date that it was created, I own it since then. Right? If you put a date and that date is wrong from the date that it actually was created, then you can mess yourself up, right? So just make sure you check inception. Same thing with the next one, which is the rights end. When does the ownership rights end, right? If there's an end date, like maybe if you're a part of a label, you might have an end date or whatever the case may be, then you put in the end date. But for most cases, if you're an independent artist and you're doing this yourself, you do not want to put an end date, because once that end date is put in, you no longer will claim rights to it from here. So you want to put perpetuity. You want to check that, because that means forever. The inception, whenever the beginning was, perpetuity, forever. It will never end, right? Make sure these two things are checked off. You don't want to make any mistakes right here, all right? The next thing that you want to go ahead and do is put in the territories of collection rights. US is already included, but they will you could also add in worldwide, which is what I'm going to do here. All right, then from that point, this section, the recording claim section, should be green valid as well. All right, so we got 2 out of the 3. We have 1 more to go before we could actually submit this form, and that next one is the releases section. From the releases section, you're going to see another button again. You go ahead and press that button to add release, and then the form is going to appear, and under it, you're going to see release 1. All right. So this section is the most annoying section for me, because it's all the same information all over again. But whatever the case may be, let's just put it in, right? So the first thing you do is you type in your artist name again. Then you're going to type in the album title. Now, this is important. If this is a single and it's not part of an album title yet, you still have to put something in here. It will not validate without it. So with that being the case, you can enter in the name of the song, or you can put in the name of the song dash single, so that it's put in here. But something has to be here, or else you won't be able to get it validated. So make sure you put that in. And obviously, if it's on an album, you just put the album title. All right. But the next thing that you're going to want to put in is the UPC code. This is given to you from your music distribution company, the same as the ISRC code. That's where you get the UPC code at. You go ahead and enter that code in that section, and you move on. The release label. You want to put the label that your song is released from, right? If you have an LLC, you can put the LLC in here, right? If you have a record label, put that name in there as well. It's all the same thing, right? I went ahead and put in mine. Catalog number. If you have a catalog number, you put it in, but it's not necessary. If you don't, right, the release date of the song, when the release date was released. Again, we had to put this information earlier, but you got to put it again. It's going to ask for the version again. Make sure you put the version in again, and then it's going to ask again the country of the release, right? And obviously, you're going to put worldwide as far as all the country. Well, country of release, I think, is the country you were in when you released it, right? You either put US or worldwide, depending on how it looks in the drop down. Typically, I just hit the drop down, and if it says worldwide first, I pick that. If it says US first, I pick that, right? But once you put that in, you will then get a green validation for that section, which means all 3 sections are validated. Then you will press that button on the bottom that says go to the top and review. All that's going to do is scroll you all the way back up to the top, and then you just want to review and make sure that all 3 sections are validated green. As long as you follow this video correctly, all 3 of these should be green and you should be ready to submit. Of course, go through it again. Make sure you didn't make any typos or anything like that. Then from that point, you want to go ahead and click on submit recordings. Once you hit on submit recordings, it's going to bring you back to your initial page, and you'll get this thank you message that says your repertoire, or however you say that word, submission was received. Thanks. That is the end of the process of registering your song. However, you're not going to be completely done with Soundexchange. This is just registering the song. And once the song is completed and they put in all the information, from that point, you're going to have to go back into Soundexchange once it's registered and claim the song. All right. I know it sounds crazy, but you got to go back in, and even though you personally registered it yourself, you got to now go back and claim it once it's in there in the registration. All right. Sometimes the radio station will register for you, right? Sometimes your PRO or whatever, there are cases where others will register for you. But regardless of the case, this video is about how to register the song yourself. But that's not the last step. The last step will be going back in and claiming your percentage of the registration. You know, what other, like, for example, for this song, my producer is going to get a percentage, right? The featured artist is also going to get a percentage. So once this is registered and I go to claim the song, they're going to put in my percentage. I'm also going to put in their percentages to make sure that the percentage is split outright. But this process is solely for the registration of the song itself. It's not about the percentages, about everything else. If you have any questions about that, that's not part of this process. This process is simply to register the song, which you have to do anyway. All right. But that's pretty much it, guys. Again, not to take too much of you guys' time. That's the step-by-step process on registering your song on Soundexchange. This is not a recommendation. This is a must. You must do this to make sure that you're putting yourself in a position to collect revenues in every avenue that you possibly can. All right. But that's pretty much it. Before I let you guys go, I definitely want to let you guys know about my book here, The 13 Steps to Jumpstart Your Music Business. This is for those of you who want something more comprehensive than the free tool I mentioned earlier, right? I've been doing music full time for over a decade now. And the reason I'm able to do that was because of the steps that I followed in this book. All right. This isn't for all of you advanced artists out there. This is for those very beginners who just had an idea. They want to start creating music. They don't know where to start, and they want to jumpstart their music business. You absolutely have to grab this book right here. There's the 13 steps is the same steps that I took to put myself in the position that I am now. I've been doing music full time for years now, and that book was a big part of it. All right. So you guys could grab that in ebook form, which is available to download directly off of my website. Or you could get the physical copies for those of you who like to have something in your hands to read, all right? But you can find all of that in the descriptions of this video as well, guys. I hope that this step-by-step guide helped you guys out, all right? I hope you guys don't have any issues. If you do, go ahead and put it in the comment section. And if you have any questions about anything, throw that in the comment section as well, because I'm here to help you as an artist. And that's pretty much it, guys. But I hope this helped. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
My path, but my sling still swinging. Prayers like a choir, you can hear the angels singing. Armor of God, ain't a single piece missing. Romans 8:31, who against me they sinking. Enemies plot, but the plans unravel. Scriptures in my holster, that's the only way I travel. Devil want to smoke, but I'm up, no gravel. If I'm going through a valley, no shadow, can't battle. Tell the storm peace, and the waves obey. Faith ain't a trend, it's the roots where I stay. Christ built different, every sin.